Shalom, my name is Adam, and I welcome you to the parable of the vineyard. Every day, Yahuah is waking up a remnant, a group of people who are coming out of deceptions, realizing our walk is to consist of faith and obedience to his righteous commands. Each week, we read through and examine a portion of the Torah, allowing the Spirit of the Most High to guide, teach, and open our eyes and ears to the wondrous matters out of his law. Join us as we seek to be refined by his word, preparing ourselves for the return of our King of Kings, being faithful and obedient, walking in his way, truth, and life. Shabbat Shalom and welcome back, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Parable of the Vineyard YouTube live stream Torah portions. My name is Adam and I welcome you. This is week 19, Terumah, which is a gift or offering, which is going to take us through Exodus 25:1 through 27:19. Yeah, 19, I want to make sure. And so lots to cover. I want to focus definitely on the gift, the offering part today. And but before we do, I made a mistake last week, and I have to apologize. I think we stopped at chapter 24, verse 8, when we should have stopped at 24:18. So I forgot the 1 somewhere. And so we didn't end up finishing chapter 24. So we're going to go through that really quickly and then move on to chapter 25 and go through this week's Torah portion. So, but before we do, quick prayer that the Most High opens our eyes and ears to hearing and seeing his word. And we'll get this Shabbat live study kicked off. So, Heavenly Father, Yahuah, we come before you today as a public gathering to read and study your word, your Torah. And we just ask that you open our eyes and ears to understanding, that we may be hearers and doers of your word. And we bless you and thank you for sending Messiah Yahusha, that we may have everlasting life and be reconciled back to you, and for showing us how to walk in both Ruach and in truth. We bless you and we thank you also for opening our eyes to your Torah, especially your Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom and Hallelujah. Amen. Amen. So before we get started, actually before all that, I want to get started with what has become really kind of like a tradition. Not all traditions are bad. A lot of traditions we've inherited are bad, but like in my house, I now have a tradition that at the morning breakfast table, we read from Jubilees 2. And I'm going to read that for you because I really think this captures the importance, beauty, and what we're to do on the Shabbat. So this is from Jubilees, Yobelim, chapter 2, verse 18. And he gave us a great sign. It's a sign, the Sabbath, the Shabbat, that we should work 6 days, but guard the Shabbat on the 7th day from all work. And all the angels of the presence and all the angels of sanctification, these two great classes, he has bidden us to guard the Sabbath with him in heaven and on earth. And he said unto us, Behold, I will separate unto myself a people from among all the peoples, and these shall guard the Shabbat. And I will sanctify them unto myself as my people, and will bless them, as I have sanctified the Sabbath, and do sanctify it unto myself. Even so will I bless them. And they shall be my people, and I will be their Elohim. And I have chosen the seed of Jacob from amongst all that I have seen, and have written him down as my firstborn son, and have sanctified him unto myself forever and ever. And I will teach them the Shabbat, that they may guard the Shabbat thereon from all work. And thus he created therein a sign in accordance with which they should guard the Shabbat with us on the 7th day, to eat and to drink, to eat and to drink and to bless him who has created all things, as he has blessed and sanctified unto himself a peculiar people. We're finding out what that means. Above all peoples, and that they should guard the Shabbat together with us. And the us in this book is the angels. The angels apparently gave this book to Moshe. So it said also here that the angels celebrated it in heaven with him as they do on earth. So pretty special day. So I pray that it's a blessing in the Most High's eyes, that there's a group of people that want to get together and study from His Word on the Shabbat. So we'll call this a public gathering of His Word. And I thought I had Exodus pulled up, but I guess I didn't. So let's get into this week's Torah portion. But again, before we do so, I want to finish up from last week at chapter 24. And what we'll do is I swapped at verse 8, but let me just read through really quickly, starting at verse 1, so that we know what is going on, so that's not confusing. Exodus 24. And he said unto Moshe, Come up unto Yahuah, you, and Aharon, and Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Yasharel, and worship ye afar off. And Moshe alone shall come near Yahuah, but they shall not come nigh, neither shall the people go up with him. And Moshe came and told the people all the words of Yahuah, and all the judgments, the right rulings. We talked about this last week. And all the people answered with one voice and said, All the words which Yahuah has said we will do. And Moshe wrote all the words of Yahuah, and rose up early in the morning, and built an altar unto the hill, and 12 pillars, according to the 12 tribes of Yasharel. And by the way, the people answered one voice, all what Yahuah said we will do. This is a marriage covenant. Remember, this is like a marriage ceremony, and where you have vows to each other, and you swear to one another that you're gonna take care of them. And it doesn't have to be the one that the world says, in sickness and in health. And not that there's anything wrong with that. I think there's good words in that, but I think, our own vows are pretty special. But that's what they're doing here. They're vowing to the Most High that all that you said we will do. And he sent the young men of the children of Yasharel, which offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto Yahuah. And Moshe took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the Sefer of the covenant, the book of the covenant, and read in the audience of the people. And they all said, All that Yahuah said we will do, and be obedient. Again, like marriage ceremony, marriage vows. And Moshe took the blood and sprinkled it upon the people, and said, Behold, the blood of the covenant which Yahuah has cut with you concerning all these words. So we've talked about this before. Again, if you got children, you know what happens if a man marries a woman that's a virgin. You go to the marriage bed, right? You've got that. So it's a coronating of the ceremony. Then went Moshe and Aharon and Nadab and Abihu and the 70 elders of Yasharel, and they saw the Elohai of Yasharel, and there was under his feet as it were a paved work of sapphire stone, and as it were the body of heaven in his clearness. So hallelujah to that. I want to pause here real quick. We're going to touch on the sapphire stone. I think it's super important and super interesting. Before we do, just in case you're new and you're stumbling across this for the first time, these Torah portions, I don't offer them up as teachings. I offer them up as studies, as mere studies, as your brother, as your brother, not as your teacher. Your teacher is the Ruach inside of you, and Messiah Yahusha is your teacher. I'm not your teacher. Certainly what I do here, it is a teaching type role, but remember that I'm not your teacher, and I offer these up as your brother. I have a lot to learn when it comes to the Torah. So when I'm doing these studies, I'm offering you up what I study throughout the week, my notes, verses that I come across that can help understand better understand the study. We look at texts that were not included in the canon, but that I do believe are scriptural, Jubilees, Jasher, the Apocrypha, Enoch, many others, to really bring these studies to life. So again, I offer them up as a study. Again, as I said before, like if you were in my living room, in my home, we're just discussing it, and I can't wait for the day where. Well, I can't wait. I'm hopeful for the day where we get to do this forever in New Jerusalem. But let's go back here. So Moshe, Aharon, Nadab, Abihu, and the 70 elders of Yasharel, they saw the Elohai of Yasharel. Remember, who did they see? Messiah Yahusha said that no man has ever seen the Father. So who did they see? This is the Son of the Most High. This is Yahusha, who's been the representative for the Most High on earth at all times. If you have some questions about that, how I understand the Father and the Son, there's a short video called Identity, the Angel of Yahuah. I think it might explain quite a bit more of where I'm at with this. But in any case, I know that Messiah Yahusha is not a liar, nor has he ever lied. So when he said no one's seen the Father, no one's seen the Father, including Moshe, Aharon, Nadab, Abihu, and the 70 elders. So I believe they saw his son, Messiah Yahusha, who had not been revealed yet of who he was. But here is the cool part. So, and there was under his feet, as it were, a paved work of sapphire stone. And this takes us to Ezekiel chapter 1. Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river Kebar, that the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of Elohim, right? Let's skip down to verse 26. And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone, and upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness as the appearance of a man above it. So here Ezekiel caught a vision of Elohim, and we see the firmament, we see the throne, and he likens it unto the appearance of a sapphire stone. So what we kind of see here under his feet, as it were, a paved work of sapphire stone. Pretty interesting stuff. Let's keep going. And so we're actually going to read here very shortly, actually in a few verses. Actually, let's just read this real quick. So keeping on this thought process of a sapphire stone. And upon the nobles of the children of Yashrael he laid not his hand. Also they saw Elohim and did eat and drink. So now you've got more covenant language, more cutting a covenant language. Just like when Messiah Yahusha at the Last Supper, the Passover meal, they ate, they drank, and he talked about what was going to happen, which was the blood that he was going to shed for the remission of the sins and for the renewed covenant for many, right? And so we know that covenants are a couple things involved, a meal and blood. That's what happened at the Last Supper. That's what happened right here, what we just saw. Remember, they sat down, they ate and drank in the presence of Yahuwah. There was blood, there was sprinkled on the people. So very similar stuff. But continuing on, and Yahuwah said unto Moshe, come up to me in the mount and be there, and I will give you sapphire stones, the Sefer gets it right, and a Torah and commandments which I have written, that you may teach them. So most of us were brought up to believe that the 10 Commandments looked something like this, like just stonework and the commandments etched in the stone. But I don't believe that to be true. I believe that they were sapphire stones, and so there's something really, really neat about that. Let's go to Numbers 15, 38 through 40. Speak unto the children of Yashrael, and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations. And this has been debated, where it says speak unto the children. Some would say it's just for men. I'm here to say I believe it's for men and women, and it says to make tzitzit, right? So the strings that some of you may have seen hanging from people's pants, who knows the perfect way to do it, but I think most of us have learned that you take 4 of them and put them on the 4 corners of your garments. Guys typically do it on their belt loops. Women can just do, I don't know what you wear, but if you need to, you can use, not bobby pins, what are they called? Safety pins. My goodness. So anyways, so these are the tzitzit. So make them throughout their generations, that they put upon the fringe of the borders a riband of blue. So what's really cool is the only command is that there has to be blue. This is a linen tzitzit, and I put it in the wash and it faded. So it used to be a lot deeper blue. It's kind of like my mouse, like a deep blue. But anyways, what's cool about this is we could postulate that the reason for the blue is to remind you of the blue sapphire stone, the commandments. And here's why. And it shall be unto you for a fringe, that you may look upon it and remember all the commandments of Yahuwah and do them. So if the commandments were sapphire stones, blue, right? And he's commanded us to wear tzitzits that have blue on it, and they're supposed to remind us of the commandments. I think that's exactly why they're supposed to be blue. And if you haven't been led to wear tzitzit yet, I would pray about it and put it before the Most High and be like, hey, do you want me to wear tzitzit? Is this command given throughout their generations, just like the Sabbath has, just like the feast days, just like, pretty much everything other than sacrifice for sin offerings, because we know that that was prophesied in many places that that's not something he ever wanted. So Messiah Yahusha came and did that once and for all for us. Outside of that, these commandments are eternal, and so so it shall be for a fringe, that you may look upon it and remember all the commandments of Yahweh and do them, and that you seek not after your own heart and your own eyes, after which you used to go whoring. And I think many of us can certainly relate to this. Before we were turned, chastised, and taught the commandments of the Most High, we don't ever want to go back. And so, yeah, it's very true. Sometimes, I'll just, I'll grab these things or look at them and just know that this is a symbolic reference of keeping his commandments and never wanting to go back to my old ways, that you may remember and do all my commandments and be holy unto your Elohim. So pretty cool stuff about the sapphire. Again, remember the firmament. Some people believe that the firmament is made out of sapphire. That's why you have that blue color. And it says the throne, the base of the throne of the Most High is sapphire. The 10 Commandments were etched in sapphire stones. The tzitzit, kind of a blue sapphire color. So pretty cool stuff. So continuing on. And Moshe rose up, and his minister Yahusha, this is Joshua, and Moshe went up into the mount of Elohim. And he said unto the elders, tarry ye here for us until we come again unto you. And behold, Aharon and Horai are with you. If any man have any matters to do, let him come unto them. And Moshe went up into the mount, and a cloud covered the mount. And the glory of Yahweh abode upon Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it 6 days. And the 7th day he called out unto Moshe out of the midst of the cloud. So pretty cool stuff. If you believe in the 6,000 years of man and then the 1,000-year millennial reign, it's kind of like that. Yahuwah is kind of obscured for 6,000 days. We know a day is like 1,000 years in Yahuwah's sight, and a day and 1,000 years is like a day. So isn't it interesting? I think there's a pretty cool parallel here that Yahuwah is kind of obscured for 6,000 years, right? So the cloud covered it and obscured him. But then the 7th day he called unto Moshe out of the midst of the cloud, and so he went into it. And so, hopefully we are walking in righteousness and are ready when the Master comes back, that we may be able to go into the millennial reign and the obscurity is gone and we will see him. So pretty cool stuff. Verse 17, and the sight of the glory of Yahweh was like a devouring fire on the top of the mount in the eyes of the children of Yasharel. And Moshe went into the midst of the cloud and got him up into the mount, and Moshe was in the mount 40 days and 40 nights. We know that the 40 is symbolized as a time of testing. You had the 40 days that Nineveh was given to repent, or else be destroyed. You had the 40 days and 40 nights of rain with Noah. You had the 40 days in Messiah Yahusha fasting in the wilderness, being tempted of the devil. So time of testing here. And unfortunately, we'll find out here a little bit later that the children of Israel did not pass this 40-day test. But that's for next week's portion. So, all right. So Exodus 25. So now we're finished up last week. So again, sorry. Now we're in this week's Torah portion. So, all right, chapter 25. And Yahuwah spoke unto Moshe, saying, speak unto the children of Yasharel that they bring me an offering. This is this Terumah offering, right? It's like a gift. Of every man that gives it willingly with his heart, ye shall take my offering. And this is the offering which ye shall take of them: gold and silver and brass and blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen and goat's hair and ram skins dyed red and badger skins. We'll talk about badger skins here in a little bit. And shittim wood, oil for the light, spices for anointing and for sweet incense, onyx stones and stones to be set in the ephod and in the breastplate. And let them make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell among them, according to all that I show you, after the pattern of the tabernacle and the pattern of all the instruments thereof, even so shall you make it. So, let's go back here. And so here he's asking for willingly contribution. So he's not requiring it. He's not saying every man of every house must put in one little thing or something. No, he said, of every man that gives it willingly, right? So he's not forcing it. He's asking for willing offerings. And, this is something, and so in some way, it doesn't really expound on this, that the people who gave were more blessed than the others, and the people who didn't give and were stingy, they were, that they were punished or anything like that. But you have to imagine that, Yahuwah tested them in a way like this to see who'd be willing to give up these things. Because remember, they left Egypt rich. The Egyptians handed them gold and jewels and all these different things. And so the Israelites left rich. And so you can imagine probably some people's hearts were inclined into those things and loved the gold and loved the silver and the jewels and the ornaments. And they're like, looks like they got enough. We'll just hold on to this stuff, whereas other people are like, freely it was given, or freely I received, freely I'll give, it's all Yahweh's anyways. And I think that's the kind of attitude that we should have, especially with each other. There's tons of scripture we can talk about right now about doing good to others, giving out of a willing heart. There's a couple. I've been in the book of Ecclesiasticus lately, which is also known as the book of Sirach. It was included in the Septuagint canon, the 1611 KJV, under the Apocrypha section. But truly, I believe that this is scripture, and man, it's been really nice to get back into this book. And there's probably over 20 passages just in this book alone I can show you about giving out of a willing heart, but here's just a few of them. Sirach 12:3, no good will come to the man who persists in evil, or to him who does not give alms, right? So not giving. Sirach 17:22, a man's almsgiving is like a signet with Yahuwah, and he will keep a person's kindness like the apple of his eye. So again, going back to this Torah portion, we have to imagine, I can only speculate that the people that gave out of a willing heart, maybe he blessed them above the others. Maybe these became some of the mighty men. Maybe these are the kind that had more children than others, or had more bountiful harvests. Who knows? But that's the character of Yahuwah to do to people that have a giving heart, and that's something that, if it's not naturally ingrained in you, is something that probably should start to be ingrained in you. Here's an interesting one. Sirach 35, 1 through 11. This is actually kind of a longer passage. I think it's just a great passage anyway, so some of this doesn't apply to this study, but like I said, it's just a great passage, so I'm going to read it. He who keeps the Torah makes many offerings. He who heeds the commandments sacrifices a peace offering. He who returns a kindness offers fine flour. And he who gives alms sacrifices a thank offering. To keep from wickedness is pleasing to Yahuwah, and to forsake unrighteousness is atonement. Do not appear before Yahuwah empty-handed, for all these things are to be done because of the commandment. The offering of a righteous man anoints the altar, and its pleasing odor rises before the Most High. The sacrifice of a righteous man is acceptable, and the memory of it will not be forgotten. Glorify Yahuwah generously, right? And this is something going alongside with this giving heart. It's not just about giving physical things, but even to Yahuwah. How often do you thank him in your prayers for all that he does? Maybe even the things we take for granted. This is something that I've been trying to put in back into my daily prayers, is thanking him for what we take for granted, for creating the heavens, the earth, and everything contained in it, all of his wondrous works, just how the operation of the seasons, how the trees work, and how they lose all their leaves every fall, and seem as though they've died through the winter, and then come back to life as it appears in the springtime, and the little bud shoots forth, and the leaves start folding out, and I mean, just everything, how the flowers come. Where I live in Missouri here, it's awesome because I know when spring is really coming, because you've got these little yellow flowers. It's like these, I don't know what they're called. I should know what they're called, but they've got these really upright green. They're like like tall and thin green leaves, and then there's the most beautiful little yellow flowers, and they're just kind of grow wild. And so sometimes in a field they'll be full of them. It's just, I mean, just, come on, like what he's made is just absolutely amazing. And so glorify him. So when you thank him for these things that most people take for granted, it glorifies him. So the generosity out of your heart shouldn't just be giving to others. I mean, that's a huge thing, but what about being generous to Yahuwah with your prayers and your thank offerings and blessing him for the operation of everything he's made, the majesty of everything he's made, for making you, for giving you children if you have them, or health if you have it, or whatever it may be. I think we should just be absolutely generous with him in that way. And really this is the biggest thing to glean from this Torah portion is the gifts, the offering, and how we could really do so. There's a passage, that every time we come across sacrifices in the Torah, especially as we'll get here in the finishing with Exodus and all through Leviticus, it's like, sacrifice this ram and sacrifice this bull, and we're like, okay, well, we don't really do all that right now. This is almost all that can be summed up right here in Hebrews 13. I really love this passage. Let us go. This is Hebrews 13, starting in verse 13. Let us go forth, therefore, unto him without the camp, bearing his reproach. For here we have no continuing city, but we seek one to come. Right? We're waiting for New Jerusalem. By him, therefore, let us offer. So by him being by Yahusha, by our high priest. By him, therefore, let us offer the sacrifice of praise to Elohim continually. That is the fruit of our lips, giving thanks to his name. But to do good and to communicate, forget not, for with such sacrifices Elohim is well pleased. And so that is essentially really what Sirach is getting at here, is like when you keep the commandments, it's like this. When you thank Yahuwah, it's like this. So again, glorify Yahuwah generously and do not stint the first fruits of your hands. With every gift, show a cheerful face. So like, going through the motions and being like, oh, all right, I've got to do this because he said so. It's like probably very similar to how the Pharisees were when they just went through the motions. It's like Yahusha said, on the outside they appear very clean, but on the inside they're like a whited sepulcher. They're filled with dead man's bones. It's like the Sabbath came around. They're like, they loved money, so it's like, all right, can't do occupations, we can't make money. All right, when's the Sabbath over? So we can just. It's just like in passage in Amos 8. It's like, when's the Sabbath over so we can sell grain and make profits and whatnot. It's the same thing with giving gifts. Just doing it because you have to. It's like, all right, I'm gonna give a tenth of all I have because I have to, and let me just be done with this. That is not what he wants at all. You should be really happy to do it. You can almost even think about as, again, thanking him for even giving you life. You could have never been born. You could have never been here, but he gave you that opportunity, and it's almost like payment to him for giving us life, I think of sometimes, and doing it cheerfully, like, thank you for giving me life, thank you for putting me here, thank you for putting me here on this earth in this time where you're opening your people back up to your Torah, and you brought joy to my life, and you brought me this and that. Even if you don't have much, be thankful for what you have. And truly, when you walk in his Torah and you give graciously, you don't really need much. As we're starting to learn, some of us are starting to learn, you don't need a whole lot. You don't need stuff like you needed before you came back to him. You don't have to always have the latest thing, or the nicest clothes, or the newest brands, or the newest shoes, or have to always have this or have that, or have the the nicest jewelry. You don't need stuff. And if you're still there, you really need that stuff, just continue. He'll shed it off you. He will over time. And you're like, oh, I don't want to. I love this stuff. Well, over time, he'll take away that love of stuff and love of the things of the world, and he'll start filling your heart with a love for him. That's what Yahusha said. Well, blessed are those who thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. not filled with the goods of this earth, although sometimes he can bless us. He can bless us with nice things, and that just comes, I guess, sometimes. But if your heart's not set on it, it doesn't sway you one way or the other, whether you're rich or poor. It doesn't sway you. It doesn't move you. But I'm getting off topics now, so let's get back. So with every gift, show a cheerful face and dedicate your tithe with gladness, right? Not here's a tenth. Here's a tenth. That's your portion, and wherever you give today, you can give to the homeless, you can give to people that need. There's many places you can give. And when you do, just give with a good heart. It's very satisfying. It really is. Give to the Most High as he has given, and generously as your hand has found. So that is, if someone were wise within the camp of the Most High, it doesn't say what happened here, but if there was wise men amongst the people, leaders, when the call came out from Moshe, all right, everybody who has a willing heart to give to the Most High, to build up the tabernacle, let them come freely and give. And if if one were to be a wise man amongst the people, I would say this. I'd be like, give to the Most High as he has given. Remember, because they came out of Egypt just lathered with jewels and riches. So give to the Most High as he has given, and as generously as your hand has found. For Yahuah is the one who repays, and he will repay you sevenfold. Now, if you've got a greedy little eye and you're like, well, if I give, I'll get more back, like a businessman would think. I think he's going to catch you in your heart, and he's going to catch you in your mind. But this truly, I think for a lot of us that have found blessing in giving, this is very true. It really is. But again, if your heart isn't set on riches and stuff, it's just like, oh, okay, cool. Praise Yah. Thank you. And it's just a change of heart, and it's a complete change of way of living that most of us were used to in our previous life. So anyways, I just wanted to share that with you. One more verse in Sirach 40:24. Brothers and help are for a time of trouble, but alms-giving rescues better than both. There's something about giving, brothers and sisters, and again, that's the whole idea of this Torah portion. Let's see some words from the Messiah. Luke 6:30-38. Give to every man that asketh of you. So how much even more if Yahuah asks, hey, give of a willing heart. So give to every man that asks of you, and to him that taketh away thy goods, ask them not again. And as ye would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise. For if ye love them which love you, what thank have you? For sinners also love those that love them. And if ye do good to them which do good to you, what thank have you? For sinners also even do the same, right? And you know that, people in the world, even sinners give to people. Even Satanists give gifts to each other and do things like that, right? So, and if you lend to them of whom you hope to receive, what thank have you? So, if you're only willing to lend because you know that person will pay back, right? What thank have you? For sinners also lend to sinners to receive as much again. But love your enemies and do good and lend, hoping for nothing again. So give it to people that you know could never repay you back, right? Just do it. Just do it, And your reward shall be great. Oops. And your reward shall be great, and ye shall be the children of the highest, for he is kind unto the unthankful and to the evil. And then, so that kind of wraps up what I wanted to say about giving with willingness, because again, it's just like when he says loving others, even if they don't love you back, even loving your enemies, because it's easy for anybody to love those that love them. Like anybody can do that. That's easy. But to love people that hate you or love people that don't love you back, that's hard. It's not really hard. At first it's hard, but then I guess as you get used to it, it doesn't bother you. Even if you love somebody and they spit venom back in your face, at first you're like, oh, why did you do that? All I didn't want to do is be nice to you, right? But then again, because Yahuah fills you, it's like nothing can shake you. The longer you're on this walk, it's like the more you actually apply this stuff, nothing will shake you. Like nothing. So even if a best friend turns on you and becomes your enemy because you do good to them, it's like even that won't shake you. It's like, okay, I'm still going to love you because that's how Messiah taught, and that's how I'm going to roll, you know? Let's just finish this up. Be therefore merciful as your Father is also merciful. Judge not, and ye shall not be judged. Condemn not, and ye shall not be condemned. Forgive, and ye shall also be forgiven. So you're not merciful to people. You don't forgive others when they do wrong to you, but ask for forgiveness. Guess what? Your Father's not going to forgive you either. Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, and shaken together, and running over, shall men give into your bosom. For with the same measure that ye meet withal, it shall be measured to you again. Give. Be gracious with people. Forgive. Love. And if you're met with this stuff, and I guess I'm also relating this to those of us that have issues with family, friends, acquaintances, coworkers, bosses, whatever. You know, if they find out you're doing this Torah stuff and they're like, you know, so what? Love them anyways. Don't be rude back. If they're rude to you, don't be rude back. If they curse you, don't curse back. All right, let's not go too far off topic. Okay, so he asked for all these gifts of all these different things, and they're given. And so here, verse 25:5, it's interesting. It says, "And ram skins dyed red, and badger skins." And I'm thinking, I've always thought to myself, all the other animals and animal skins and whatnot, it's all clean animals. Why would he have an unclean animal's skins on the tabernacle, which is like a holy, holy thing, and you've got unclean animal skins on there? Never made sense. And you look at the Strongs, it really is not conclusive. It says that word is from an unknown origin, and I think they kind of just guessed at badger. If you look at the Septuagint, where it says here, verse 25:5, "And ram skins dyed red, and badger skins, and shittim wood." If you look at the Septuagint, and it says, and goat's hair and ram skins dyed red, and blue skins. So instead of badger, it's blue skins and incorruptible wood. That's the shittim wood. And if you look at the Targums, it's actually the same thing. Or actually, I think this one says purple. Here it says, and goat skins and skins of rams dyed red and purpled skins. So badger is only in the Masoretic, and I don't think that was correct. So I'm going to go with there wasn't unclean animal skins on the tabernacle. But not a huge point, but again, just sharing my notes with you on my studies. Just like this year in this Torah portion, this year's Torah portion cycle, I've got some tough questions answered that I had before, like, well, why did Abraham marry his sister when that's unlawful? And then we find out this year that no, that she was Sarah was his niece, not his sister, and other stuff like that. So I always had some questions, and praise Yah, he's answering them for us little by little. Okay, so 25:10, and I got props here. "And they shall make an ark of shittim wood. 2 cubits and a half shall be the length thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the breadth thereof." Right? Like a airline, like stewardess. "And you shall overlay it with pure gold, within and without you shall overlay it, and make a crown of gold round about. And you shall cast 4 rings of gold for it, and put them in the 4 corners thereof. And 2 rings shall be in the one side of it, and 2 rings in the other side of it. And you shall make," so the holding for the staves right here. Actually, can you guys even see this? I don't even know. Oh, a little higher, Adam. How about that? "And you shall make staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold. And you shall put the staves into the rings by the sides of the ark, that the ark may be borne with them. The staves shall be in the rings of the ark, and they shall not be taken from it. And you shall put I shall put into the ark of the testimony which I shall give you." And inside here was the three witnesses. It was the sapphire tablets. It was Aharon's budded rod, and the bowl of manna. Those were the testimonies put in here. And by the way, I don't know if this is an exact representation. This kind of seems, you can look at dozens, if not hundreds of different renderings of it, and they all are pretty similar to this. So this might be a good representation. I actually don't think the cherubim wings are exactly correct on this one. We'll actually read that in a second. But it's kind of neat to imagine what it actually looked like. And you shall make a mercy seat of pure gold, 2 cubits and a half shall be the length thereof, and a cubit and a half the breadth thereof. And ye shall make 2 cherubim of gold, of beaten work ye shall make them, in the 2 ends of the mercy seat, and make 1 cherub on the one end, and the other cherub on the other end. Even of the mercy seat shall ye make the cherubim on the 2 ends thereof. And the cherubim shall stretch forth their wings on high. So I think that the cherubim wings should actually be like, covering the mercy seat with their wings, and their faces shall look one to another, which they are, toward the mercy seat, and their faces of the cherubim shall be. And you shall put the mercy seat above the ark, and in the ark you shall put the testimony that I shall give you. And that's what we're talking about there, the three testimonies, the sapphire stones, the budded rod, and the bowl of manna. And there will I meet with you, and I will commune with you from above the mercy seat, from between the 2 cherubim which are upon the ark of the testimony, of all the things which I give you in commandment unto the children of Yahusha. So here he says that I will meet with you here. I will meet with you here on top of. So like, this is where he meets right here. So interesting little side note here on the Targums about meeting on the ark. Where is it? Here. And you shall put the mercy seat above upon the ark, and within the ark thou shalt lay the tables of the testament that I will give thee, and I will appoint my word with thee there, and will speak with thee from above the mercy seat. So here in the Targums, and this is, again, really, I'm in the testing phase of the Targums. The Targums have been such a blessing in many ways, but the most important thing that I've found in the Targums is that it clearly points out the role of our Messiah all since the beginning. And so here, once again, it says that I will appoint my word with you there. So I'm going to commune with you with my word, with my son. They didn't know at that time, but my son I'm going to communicate with you with on that mercy seat. So pretty interesting stuff. So I will appoint my word with thee, and I will speak to thee from above the mercy seat. So awesome stuff. So we just finished reading about the ark. Before we move into the table of bread, the showbread, I want to read you one of my favorite stories about the ark. And it comes from 1 Samuel 4 and 5. And so let's read it together. So we're going to read the end of 4 and all of 5. And the Philistines fought, and Yashrael was smitten, and they fled every man into his tent, and there was a very great slaughter, for there fell Yashrael 30,000 footmen. And so to back up, here we are in the time of the high priest Eli and his 2 sons. His 2 sons were wicked men. They were doing debaucherous things with women in the tabernacle in Shiloh. They were doing unlawful things with the sacrifices, eating certain portions that weren't theirs, and all sorts of terrible things. It was a rough time in the priesthood, and the Most High was not pleased at all. And so they ended up going to war, and they brought the ark with them unadvisedly to war. And the ark of Elohim was taken, and the 2 sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were slain. So 1 Samuel 5, and the Philistines took the ark of Elohim and brought it from Ebenezer unto Ashdod. When the Philistines took the ark of Elohim, they brought it into the house of Dagon and set it by Dagon. And this is the fish god. This is where it was a god that had it was a half man, half fish, and it had like a fish head, and that's where the papacy gets their cap from these days. Anyways, and when they put it into the temple of Dagon, and there's a big statue of Dagon there, and there's the ark right next to Dagon, the statue. And when they of Ashdod arose early in the morrow, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the earth before the ark of Yahuah, and they took Dagon and set him in his place again. So you've got the ark, right? And you've got I don't know, you got the idol. It's like bowing down before it, and I just think that's so cool. That's so funny. So they put it back up. And when they arose early on the morrow morning, behold, Dagon was fallen upon the face of the ground before Yahuah, the ark of Yahuah, and the head of Dagon and both the palms of his hands were cut off upon the threshold, and only the stump of Dagon was left to him. So he falls down before it 2 days in a row. Therefore, neither the priests of Dagon nor any that come into the house of Dagon tread on the threshold of Dagon and Ashdod unto this day. So they don't go into the path of where he could fall down unto this day, is what they're saying, because of this, what happened. But the hand of Yahuah was heavy upon them of Ashdod, and he destroyed them and smote them with emerods. Some translations or some dictionaries will call this tumors, but most, I think, concur that this is hemorrhoids. So he smote them with hemorrhoids, and even Ashdod and the coast thereof. And when the men of Ashdod saw that it was so, they said, the ark of Elohiym of Yisrael shall not abide with us, for his hand is sore upon us, and upon Dagon our God. They sent therefore and gathered all the lords of the Philistines unto them, and said, what shall we do with the ark of the Elohiym of Yisrael? And they answered, let the ark of Elohiym of Yisrael be carried about unto Gath. And they carried the ark of Elohiym of Yisrael about thither. And it was so that after they had carried about, that the hand of Yahuah was against the city with a very great destruction, and he smote the men of the city, both small and great, and they had emerods in their secret parts. So that sounds about right. Hemorrhoids in their secret parts, right? Therefore they sent the ark of Elohiym to Ekron, and it came to pass, as the ark of Elohiym came to Ekron, that the Ekronites cried out, saying, they have brought about the ark of Elohiym to Yisrael to us, to slay us and our people. And so they sent and gathered together all the lords of the Philistines, and said, send away the ark of the Elohiym of Yisrael, and let it go again to his own place, that it slay us not and our people. For there was a deadly destruction throughout all the city, and the hand of Elohiym was very heavy there. And the men that died not were smitten with emerods, and the cry of the city went up to heaven. So they knew about the fame of this ark, because even in the time of Joshua, we saw that Rahab and all the city, and actually all of Canaan, had heard that the water of the Jordan was stopped for the ark. And of course, they heard all the things that happened in Egypt with all the plagues and everything. So they knew what was going on. We're going to see the ark again, Revelation 11:19. And the temple of Elohim was opened in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament. It's called the Ark of the Covenant, Ark of the Testament, same thing. And there were lightnings and voices and thunderings and an earthquake and a great hail. Here's an interesting story also about the ark. This comes from 2 Baruch 6, and how it was preserved from the enemies tampering with it. This shows you kind of how special it is that the Most High, when he came to destroy his own city with the Babylonian army, he wanted to protect these items. This is 2 Baruch 6. And it came to pass on the morrow that, lo, the army of the Kasdim, the Chaldeans, the Babylonians, surrounded the city. And at the time of the evening, I, Baruch, left the people, and I went forth and stood by the oak. And I was grieving over Zion, and lamenting over the captivity which had come upon the people. And lo, suddenly a strong ruach raised me, and bore me aloft over the wall of Jerusalem. And I beheld, and lo, 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the city. Kind of reminds you of Revelation, doesn't it? Each of them holding a torch of fire in his hands. And another angel began to descend from heaven, and said unto them, hold your lamps, and do not light them till I tell you. For I am first sent to speak a word to the earth, and to place in it what Yahuah Sebaot has commanded me. And I saw him descend into the Holy of the Holies, and take from thence the veil, and the holy ark, and the mercy seat, and the 2 tables, and the holy raiment of the priests, and the altar of incense, and the 48 precious stones, wherewith the priest was adorned, and all the holy vessels of the tabernacle. And he spoke to the earth with a loud voice, Earth, 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 hear the word of El Elohim, and receive what I commit to you, and guard them until the last times, so that when you are ordered, you may restore them, so that strangers may not get possession of them. For the time comes when Jerusalem also will be delivered for a time, until it is said that it is again restored forever. And the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up. So, awesome. Praise Yah. We'll see it again. Okay, so let's go to the showbread. Exodus 25:23. You shall also make a table of shittim wood. 2 cubits shall be the length thereof, and a cubit the breadth thereof, and a cubit and a half the height thereof. And you shall overlay it with pure gold, and make thereto a crown of gold round about. And ye shall make unto it a border of a handbreadth round about, and ye shall make a golden crown to the border thereof round about. And ye shall make for it 4 rings of gold, and put the rings in the 4 corners that are on the 4 feet thereof. Over against the border shall the rings be for places of the staves to bear the table. And ye shall make the staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold, that the table may be borne with them. And shall make the dishes thereof, and spoons thereof, and covers thereof, and bowls thereof, to cover with all of pure gold shall ye make them. And ye shall set upon the table showbread before me always. So what exactly that looked like, again, nobody really knows, but maybe here's some good representations. You got some similar work as to what the ark may have looked like. And you'll see here what it will end up finding out a little later is that 12 cakes are to be of showbread are to be on the table, and you've got 12 for the representation of the 12 tribes of Yisrael. And what we'll see a little bit later is it's really interesting is that the lamp, the light, was to be right across from it, shining its light upon the 12 stacks of bread. So now let's learn a little bit about the golden lampstand. Got another one for you. Exodus 25:31, and you shall make a menorah, a 7-branched candlestick of pure gold, of beaten work shall the menorah be made. His shaft, his branches, his bowls, his knops, and his flowers shall be of the same, and 6 branches shall come out of the sides of it. 3 branches of the menorah on one side, and 3 branches of the menorah on the other side. 3 bowls made like unto almonds, with a knop and a flower in one branch, and 3 bowls made like almonds in the other branch, with a knop and a flower. So in the 6 branches that come out of the menorah. And in the menorah shall be 4 bowls made like unto almonds, with their knops and with their flowers. And there shall be a knop under the 2 branches of the same, and a knop under the 2 branches of the same, and a knop under the 2 branches of the same, according to the 6 branches that proceeded out of the menorah. Their knops and their branches shall be of the same. It shall be of one beaten work of pure gold. And ye shall make the 7 lamps thereof, and they shall light the lamps thereof, that they may give light over against it. And the tongues thereof and the snuff dishes thereof shall be of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold shall he make it with all these vessels. And look that you make them after their pattern, which was showed you in the mount. And we know, we learned that everything Moshe was shown was a pattern, a copy of what's in heaven. And we saw that in Revelation 5. We saw the 7 golden candlesticks. And we'll actually go on a little cool, little interesting study right now. Zechariah 4. And the angel that talked with me came again and waked me as a man that is wakened out of his sleep, and said unto me, What seest thou? And I said, I have looked, and behold, a candlestick of all gold, with a bowl on the top of it, and has 7 lamps thereon, and 7 pipes to the 7 lamps which are upon the top thereof, and 2 olive trees by it, one on the right side of the bowl, and the other on the left side thereof. So I answered and spake to the angel that talked with me, saying, What are these, my Adonai? Then the angel that talked with me answered and said to me, Knowest thou not what these be? And I said, No, my Adonai. Then he answered and spake unto me, saying, This is the word of Yahuwah unto Zerubbabel, saying, Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith Yahuwah Sabaoth. Who art thou, O great mountain? Who are you, O enemy, O exalted enemy, before Zerubbabel? Thou shalt become a plain, and he shall bring forth the headstone thereof, with shouting, saying, crying, Grace, grace unto it. Moreover, the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, The hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this house. His hands shall also finish it. And thou shalt know that Yahuwah Sabaoth hath sent me unto you. For who hath despised the day of small things? For they shall rejoice, and shall see the plummet in the hand of Zerubbabel. With those 7, they are the eyes of Yahuwah, which run to and fro through the whole earth. We saw this in Revelation as well, the 7 spirits. Then answered I and said unto him, What are these 2 olive trees upon the right side of the candlestick, and upon the left side thereof? And I answered again and said unto him, What be these 2 olive branches, which through the 2 golden pipes empty the golden oil out of themselves? And he answered and said to me, Knowest thou not what these be? And I said, No, my Adonai. Then he said, These are the 2 anointed ones that stand by the Yahuwah of the whole earth. So a lot to go over here. This is pretty cool, little rabbit trail. But so anyways, you've got a golden candlestick, and you've got 2 branches right? Dumping oil into the light, or into the lamps to give it light. So a couple things to go over. Who are these olive trees? Psalm 52:8, but I am like a green olive tree in the house of Elohim. I trust in the mercy of Yahuwah forever and ever. Jeremiah 11:16, Yahuwah called thy name a green olive tree, fair and of goodly fruit. Revelation 11:4, these are the two olive trees and the two candlesticks standing before the Elohim of the earth. Revelation 1:20, the mystery of the 7 stars which thou sawest in my right hand, and of the 7 golden candlesticks. The 7 stars are the 7 angels of the 7 churches, and the 7 candlesticks which thou sawest are the 7 churches. Ezekiel 37:16-17, moreover, thou son of man, take thee 1 stick and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Yisrael his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for the house of Yisrael his companions. So you've got these 2 sticks pouring oil into the candlestick, right? Who brings the oil for the lamp, for the light to shine forth? Leviticus 24, and Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, command the children of Yisrael that they bring unto thee pure olive oil beaten for the light to cause the lamps to burn continually. So it was the children of Israel, when this decree was given, it was 1 house, but we learn that later on it was divided into 2 houses. 1 stick became 2 sticks. Proverbs 6:23, for the commandment is a lamp and the Torah is light. So here we have the 2 houses of Israel bringing forth the light to put into the lamps, and when you put the oil into the lamps, it causes, and of course when you light it, causes the lamps to burn continually. So pretty awesome stuff there. And really, with that kind of understanding, oil being the obedience, light being the shining forth of the Torah, and it's supposed to shine forever, it really brings to life the parable of the wise and the foolish virgins, whereas the wise brought oil for the lamps, and whereas the foolish did not bring oil for the lamps, for the Torah to shine forth in them. So one other thing we saw here is that these 2 olive trees standing before the Elohim of the whole earth. Well, who stands before the earth? Who stands before Yahuwah? First of all, let me go back. I went a little fast. So, in Zechariah 4:14, it said, then said he, these are the 2 anointed ones that stand before Yahuwah of the whole earth. Let's actually take a look at the language here. Let's take a look at the interlinear. So it said, these are the 2 anointed ones. That's how they translated it. But Hai Yashar. Yashar is oil. It's fresh oil. So this was translated in a couple other places. Hosea 2:22, the oil. Haggai 1:11 upon the oil. And then in Zechariah, anointed ones. But it's kind of true because the 2 offices that are anointed with oil are anointed ones. So who are the ones that have the oil poured forth on them? This is Exodus 30:22-31. We're actually going to just scoot down here to the bottom. And this is the holy anointing oil. And thou shalt anoint Aaron and his sons to consecrate them, that they may minister to me in the priest's office. And thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel, saying, this shall be a holy anointing oil unto me throughout your generations. Leviticus 8:12, and he poured the anointing oil upon Aaron's head and anointed him to sanctify him. So priests are anointed with the holy oil. Who else? Kings. 1 Samuel 9:27-10:1, and as they were going down to the end of the city, Samuel said to Saul, bid the servant pass on before us, and he passed on. But stand thou still for a while, that I may show thee the word of Elohim. Then Samuel took a vial of oil and poured it upon his head and kissed him and said, is it not because Yahuwah hath anointed thee to be captain over his inheritance? So kings are anointed with oil. 1 Samuel 16:13. Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren, and the spirit of Yahuwah came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. 2 Kings 9:6, and he arose and went into the house, and he poured the oil on his head, and said unto him, thus saith Yahuah Elohiym of Yisrael, I have anointed thee king over the people of Yahuwah, even over Yisrael. So who stands before the Elohim of the whole earth? It is kings and priests. And we know that Revelation 5:9-10 says this, and they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain, and hast redeemed us to Elohim by thy blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation, and hast made us unto our Elohim kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. So praise Yah for that. If you want some more, a more in-depth study of that, you can look at the Revelation line-by-line series that we have, and in the very first episode we talk about it, but then a little bit later on when we go over Revelation 11, the two witnesses, we get into very direct clarity on who the two witnesses are in the end times. Long story short, I understand at this point to be the two houses of Israel, the house of Ephraim and the house of Yehudah. And yes, I do believe in the end times they are anointed with the spirit of Moses and the spirit of Elijah, much like John the Baptist was the coming of the prophecy in Malachi of sending Elijah before the great day, before him. So we can see that it was in a spiritual sense. He wasn't Elijah, he was John the Baptist, but he had, or Yehukanan the Immerser, he had the spirit of Elijah with him. So I also believe that the two witnesses will have the spirit of Moshe and Elijah upon them. And that's just kind of where I'm at this point. So if you want some more understanding about that, or how I arrived there, I go into a lot more detail in those studies. So, and, okay, yeah, let's keep going here. Oh, yeah, okay, let's keep going. So now the tabernacle. And so now chapter 26, and give me just a moment. So as I'm going to be straightforward with you, as I read through the building of the tabernacle, you know, Yahuah is the great potter, and we're just his clay, and he's fashioned us all differently. And, you know, for the longest time, I kind of got frustrated when I would try to do things like carpentry or just things with craft with my hands. For whatever reason, I'm just not built that way. And I used to struggle with that. And I'm just not a very handy guy in that way. You wives out there that have handy husbands, I'm pretty sure you're pretty happy with your husbands in that regard. Unfortunately, I'm the kind of guy that relies on those men to come and help me because for whatever reason, it's like a mental block. So when I read, I used to get upset about it, but actually it's funny. This very morning, I got some excellent piece about that. It was in the book of Sirach. I think it was chapters 37, 38, or 39 in there, but he basically laid it out that some people were built to work with their hands in that way and some were not. And I was like, oh, cool. I was like, all right. So anyways, I say all that to say this. As we read through the tabernacle here, this stuff just goes like way over my head. So like when I'm reading how it's supposed to be put together and stuff, it's like some of you like construction-minded men, you're like, oh yeah, I can see how this is. That doesn't happen with me here, so I don't have a whole lot to add here, so I'm going to kind of just read through it. I will say that, you know, the most people, or most renderings, here I'll show you tabernacle in the wilderness. So most renderings will render this kind of rectangle tabernacle, and that may be right. Again, I'm not really a construction-minded guy, so when I read through this stuff, it's just like I might as well, you know, read Chinese. It just doesn't make sense to me. So this is kind of the general consensus of what it looked like. There was a gentleman that was pretty intriguing. I listened to him. I think he did a show with Rob Skiba one time. His name is Andrew Hoy. He puts a different perspective on some things, and he's saying that instead of the rectangle tabernacle, he's saying that the way he looks at it and renders it when he puts it together is it looks more like a dome. I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't have a strong opinion because, again, this is not my specialty. But if you're interested in hearing a different approach to other than just a rectangle, just search it. It says you can just search Rob Skiba Andrew Hoy, and I think this will come up. Here, I'll just put it in the chat if you guys want to look it up. Again, I don't really have a really have an opinion on this, but I like to offer up different opinions sometimes, just for testing. You never know. But anyways, let's keep going. So I'm going to read chapter 26 for you, so and we'll move on. Actually, there's a couple notes I have here. Yeah, okay. So Exodus 26:1. Moreover, you shall make the tabernacle with 10 curtains of fine twined linen, and blue and purple and scarlet, with cherubim of cunning work shall you make them. The length of one curtain shall be 28 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits, and every one of the curtains shall have one measure. The 5 curtains shall be coupled together one to another, and other 5 curtains shall be coupled one to another. And you shall make loops of blue upon the edge of the one curtain from the selvage in the coupling, and likewise shall you make in the uttermost edge of another curtain, in the coupling of the second. 50 loops shall you make in the one curtain, and 50 loops shall you make in the edge of the curtain that is in the coupling of the second, that the loops may take hold one of another. And you shall make 50 taches of gold, and couple the curtains together with the taches, and it shall be one tabernacle. And you shall make curtains of goat's hair to be a covering upon the tabernacle. 11 curtains shall you make it. The length of one curtain shall be 30 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits, and the 11 curtains shall be all of one measure. And you shall couple the 5 curtains by themselves, and the 6 curtains by themselves, and shall double the 6th curtain in the forefront of the tabernacle. And you shall make 50 loops on the edge of the one curtain that is outmost in the coupling, and 50 loops in the edge of the curtain which couples the second. And you shall make 50 taches of brass, and put the taches into the loops, and couple the tent together, that it may be one. And the remnant that remains of the curtains of the tent, the half curtain that remains, shall hang over the backside of the tabernacle. And a cubit on the one side, and a cubit on the other side of that which remains in the length of the curtains of the tent, it shall hang over the sides of the tabernacle on this side and on that side to cover it. And you shall make a covering for the tent of ram skins dyed red, and a covering of badger skins. Again, we talked about the badger skins. I think it was just a different colored skin, not badger. Look it up in the Strong's for yourself. And you shall make the boards of the tabernacle of shittim wood standing up. 10 cubits shall be the length of a board, and a cubit and a half shall be the breadth of one board. 2 tenons shall there be in one board, and set in order one against another. Thus shall you make for all the boards of the tabernacle. And you shall make the boards for the tabernacle 20 boards on the south side southward. And you shall make 40 sockets of silver under the 20 boards, the 2 sockets under one board for his 2 tenons, and 2 sockets under another board for his 2 tenons. And for the second side of the tabernacle on the north side there shall be 20 boards. And there are 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And for the sides of the tabernacle westward you shall make 6 boards. And 2 boards shall you make for the corners of the tabernacle in the 2 sides. And they shall be coupled together beneath, and they shall be coupled together above the head of it unto one ring. Thus shall it be for them both. They shall be for the 2 corners. And they shall be 8 boards, and their sockets of silver, 16 sockets, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And you shall make bars of shittim wood, 5 for the boards on the one side of the tabernacle, 5 bars for the boards of the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards on the side of the tabernacle for the 2 sides westward. And the middle bar in the midst of the boards shall reach from end to end. And you shall overlay the boards with gold, and make their rings of gold for places for the bars, and you shall overlay the bars with gold. And ye shall rear up the tabernacle according to the fashion thereof, which was showed you in the mount. And ye shall make a veil of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen of cunning work. With cherubim shall it be made. And ye shall hang it upon 4 pillars of shittim wood overlaid with gold. Their hooks shall be of gold, upon the 4 sockets of silver. And ye shall hang the veil under the taches, that you may bring it in thither within the veil of the ark of the testimony. And the veil shall divide unto you between the holy place and the most holy. And ye shall put the mercy seat upon the ark of the testimony in the most holy place, and shall set the table without the veil, and the menorah, the 7-branch candlestick, over against the table on the side of the tabernacle toward the south, and ye shall put the table on the north side. So here, actually interesting, here we can see the setup of what's going on here. This is a decent representation, although from what I'm reading, the menorah was kind of like more right here. So here you've got the most holy place, and this is the holy place. This is the altar of incense. This is the table of showbread. Again, I was telling you about the 12 stacks of the bread for the children of Israel. Here's the menorah. Maybe it's just a perspective angle here, but the way I read it should be right here facing against it. So remember, the menorah, right, the commandment is a lamp and the Torah is light, and the children of Israel were to bring the oil for these lamps to burn continually. And so basically what you have here is the Torah shining upon the children of Israel, a representation of the children of Israel forever, perpetually, if you will. Here's a picture of the cherubim wings that I think is a little more appropriate than the one I was showing you. What I have, okay, I guess that's it. Here, yeah, this is a good representation, I think, is what it's showing here. Here you've got the again, the ark in the most holy place, the altar. You've got the menorah and the table of the showbread here going across it here. So pretty cool stuff. This is the veil. Of course, this is what was rent in two when Yahusha was crucified. And it was like right down the middle. See ya. Oh, we got false gods here. Let's not look at that. And then, let's see. I think I've got some other pictures here. Yeah, so this is a pretty good representation here. So you got this big old light just right across from it showing. And so again, this is kind of showing you in a rectangle sense. Whether that's correct or not, I don't know. That's I'll leave that up to you, construction-minded individuals. And again, you know what was so cool about that passage in Sirach that I read? It's like, it was saying that, the smith is made for his work, the carpenter is made for his work, and likewise all other people. And it said without them, a city cannot be built. And that's so true. And let me just say this, I'm very thankful to you all that are... that was given that skill in your hands to do those work, because there's some of us that I can just tell you, like, it just there's like a block, like a mental block. I don't know, I'm not going to bag on myself anymore, but I'm just very thankful for you all that do have these skills that the Most High has given you, because it's true what Ecclesiasticus said, a city cannot be built without you. So thank you. Okay, let's keep going. And you shall make a hanging for the door of the tent of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen, wrought with needlework. And you shall make for the hanging 5 pillars of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold, and their hooks shall be of gold, and you shall cast 5 sockets of brass for them. All right, now chapter 27. And you shall make an altar of shittim wood 5 cubits long and 5 cubits broad. The altar shall be 4 square, and the height thereof shall be 3 cubits. And you shall make the horns of it upon the 4 corners thereof. His horns shall be of the same. And you shall overlay it with brass. And you shall make his pans to receive his ashes, and his shovels, and his basins, and his flesh hooks, and his fire pans, and all the vessels thereof you shall make of brass. And you shall make for it a grate of network of brass, and upon the net you shall make 4 brazen rings in the 4 corners thereof. And you shall and then you shall put it under the compass of the altar beneath, that the net may be even to the midst of the altar. And you shall make staves to the altar, staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with brass. And the staves shall be put into their rings, and the staves shall be upon the 2 sides of the altar to bear it. Hollow with boards shall you make of it. As it was showed you in the mount, so shall they make it. Now I'll go into the court of the tabernacle. And you shall make the court of the tabernacle for the south side southward. There shall be hangings for the court of fine twined linen of 100 cubits long for one side. And the 20 pillars thereof and the 20 sockets shall be of brass, and the hooks of the pillars and their fillets shall be of silver. And likewise for the north side, in the length there shall be hangings of 100 cubits long, and his 20 pillars and their 20 sockets of brass, the hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the breadth of the court on the west side shall be hangings of 50 cubits, their pillars 10, and their sockets 10. And the breadth of the court on the east side eastward shall be 50 cubits. The hangings of the one side of the gate shall be 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And on the other side shall be hangings 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And for the gate of the court shall be hanging of 20 cubits of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen, wrought with needlework, and their pillars shall be 4, and their sockets 4. And all the pillars round about the court shall be filleted with silver. Their hooks shall be of silver, and their sockets of brass. The length of the court shall be 100 cubits, and the breadth 50 everywhere, and the height 5 cubits of fine twined linen, and their sockets of brass. All the vessels of the tabernacle, and all the service thereof, and all the pins thereof, and all the pins of the court shall be of brass. So I actually meant to read something in the Targums in chapter 26, and we'll be finished. That was the end of the Torah portion, and we'll be finished. So I'm going to read you an interesting little portion here. So the third paragraph. Here we go. We'll read this, and let me just again the Targums. Let me just say that I think in general the Targums are legitimate. I really do. Could there be some things inserted in a later date period? Possibly so, but I think the Targums gives us a fresh look and a fresh understanding of what this is. If there's anything ever in the Targums that would take us away from the proper service of the Most High, certainly we would toss that aside. There's some interesting stories written in these Targums that, like the one I'm about to read you, I can't verify whether this is a true story or not, but it's interesting. And so I'm just going to put it at that, and it's nothing more nor nothing less at this time. So let's read this. This is chapter 26 in the Targums, and it's an interesting little story. And this is still the building of the tabernacle. And the middle bar in the midst of the boards, passing from end to end, shall be. This is like the main, like a joist or something, like a main support beam. So this, let's just say the middle bar. So the main support beam in the midst of the boards, passing from end to end, shall be from the tree which Abraham planted in Beersheba. For when Yashrael had crossed the sea, the angels cut down the tree and cast it into the sea, and it floated on the face of the waters. And an angel proclaimed and said, "This is the tree which Abraham planted in Beersheba, and prayed there in the name of the word of Yahuwah. And the sons of Yashrael shall take and make thereof the middle bar, 70 cubits in length, and with it shall wondrous things be done. For when they have reared up the tabernacle, it shall go round it like a serpent among the boards of the tabernacle, and when they take it down, it shall become straight as a rod. And the boards thou shalt overlay with gold, and make of gold their rings for the place of the bars, and shall overlay the bars with gold, and thou shalt rear the tabernacle according to the manner showed thee in the mountains." So basically what it's saying is like this main support beam is like when it's put up, it's going to like twirl around and like, be intertwined and look like a serpent or a vine, twirled around. But then when they take it apart, it'll go straight again. So again, I don't know if that's true or not, but it's certainly pretty cool to think about. But it's just interesting. We'll keep it at that. So with that, the Torah portion is ended. I want to just we're gonna do a couple things. We're going to pray. We'll do the Aaronic Blessing, and then I want to. I have a announcement for you all with Passover. We're going to do a public Passover, and so I'm going to give you some heads up of how to reserve a spot. So let's pray first, and let's bow our hearts. Heavenly Father, Yahuwah, we come before you in Yahusha's name, and we bless you and thank you for allowing us to come together for a public gathering, a public meeting, to read your scriptures, that we may hopefully better understand you and better walk in your narrow path that you've set before us. For we want to do what's pleasing in your sight, and we thank you for the Shabbat, and we bless you, and we pray that you continue to strengthen us and to give us understanding, and strengthen us for the days that are coming, the days ahead. We love you and we bless you in Yahusha's name. Shabbat Shalom. Amen. So let's do the Aaronic Blessing. We'll do it in Hebrew first and then English. Yevarechecha Yahuwah ve'yishmerecha Ya'er Yahuwah panav elecha v'chuneka Yisa Yahuwah panav elecha ve'yasem Lecha Shalom. In English, Yahuah bless you and keep you. Yahuah make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahuah lift up his countenance upon you and give you shalom. So, what I wanted to let you all know, I figure those of you that are doing the Torah portions with me are wanting to truly walk in the way. And so there's we're going to do a, give me just a second. We're going to do a 3-day camp out. If you're watching this as a recording after April of 2021, this probably won't apply to you. But if you're watching this live or even as a recent recording, this may apply to you. We're going to do a 3-day camp out a campground. We've rented out a campground in Southwest Missouri. So if you want to travel, or if you're anywhere near Southwest Missouri and you want to do Passover with us, we're going to do a 3-day camp out. It's going to be April 27th, 28th, and 29th. And so we can arrive early on the 27th. I'm going to find out from the campground if some of you want to come a day early and set up beforehand. But the evening of the 27th is when I'm celebrating Passover, so we can come up early in the morning, set up, and then that night we'll do the Passover. And then going into the next day, we'll be doing the feast of the first day of unleavened bread. The whole day we'll be feasting, praising him, singing songs, dancing, all that kind of good stuff. And then we'll have one more day, and that'll be the next day we would pack up. So it's going to be in Cassville, Missouri. And if you want to sign up, we've got probably maybe about 35 to 38 tent spots left. And we've got maybe 12 or 13 RV spots left. If you want to sign up, we're going to have like official sign-up sheets, but if you want to go and reserve a spot, please don't reserve a spot unless you know you can come. But you want to send an email to Sister Mary Holly, who's probably in the chat right now. Her email address is hawleymary2@gmail.com. So that's hollymary2@gmail.com. Send her a quick email. Let her know your name, how many are going to be with you, and whether you like a tent site or an RV/camper site, and so we can get your spot reserved. Prices, I'll post them. It's very inexpensive. I don't want to go over pricing today on Shabbat, but I'll have official sign-up sheets for you all, and prices and everything we're going to be doing, so that you can know more about it. But if you're like, no, I want to come, just go ahead and send her an email so you can reserve a spot, and we'll go over money and all that stuff later. You won't be paying us, you'll be paying the campground anyways, but you obviously want to have an idea of what it's going to cost, so we'll talk about that another time. So just wanted to give you all a heads up, especially those of you all doing the Torah portions. Wanted to give you guys first opportunity to sign up, and then any spots left, we'll open it up to everybody else that might listen to the channel.